How can I buy a commercial property with a self-managed super fund? Let me show you because I'm doing one right now. So currently I have a GP, a doctor, who currently rents in his practice, paying a lot of rent, and he's in South Sydney and he's pretty much sick of renting. So right now he wants to buy a commercial property, like a practice for his surgery, which is around $2.5 million. And basically he has about $1.5 million in his SMSF, and he wants to use his SMSF to purchase this property. And before I go into the numbers, I do a lot of this for dentists and GPs where they buy a property through the SMSF, and then the lease they pay through that commercial property goes back into the SMSF and does a lot of tax savings. So to give you an example, this GP here will then buy this property, which is 2.5 mil. When he owns his property under the self-managed super fund, the lease that he pays on this property is about, for example, 150K per year. This 150K goes back into his SMSF, and according to the ATO, this becomes earnings for the SMSF. Therefore, this 150K is only taxed at 15%. Also, all the expenses in relation to the purchase of this property and the repayments, which I will describe later, are all tax deductible. You can then do negative gearing on this 15%. So rather than paying 15%, maybe it ends up paying 8% on the income. And since this property, this commercial property sits in the SMSF, when this guy retires, for example, maybe 65 or 70, and he sells this, zero capital gains tax. Woo! And that's why GPs and dentists love this structure rather than just renting out of some bloody practice, and they can't claim any deductions. Now let's look at the numbers. I'm getting a pre-approval of this GP, so he's looking to buy a property around $2.5 million. He only wants to borrow 70%, but we can go up to 80%. At 70%, the loan will be $1,750,000. Putting down 30% deposit plus stamp duty is at $875K, which comes from an SMS fund. The interest rate, interest only variable, is 7.24%, which then equals to be 10 Gs per month, but he was paying rent here 15 Gs per month. And for this SMSF purchase, when he does settle, it will cost him 1.25% of the loan amount, which equals $22,000. And these funds are taken out of here, which then can be claimed as a tax deduction. Now, a lot of inexperienced accountants might say, but then you're breaching the in-house asset rules, which according to ATO says the fund's asset, which is the property which the GP is buying, cannot make up more than 5% of your fund's total assets. But the beauty of buying commercial property in SMSF is that there is no exemption to these rules. So for this smart GP, he's hitting two birds with one stone. He's setting up his own practice, which benefits his own business, and also he's setting up his SMSF by becoming his own landlord. But one important note, guys, those rental income coming into that property is not considered as concessional contributions. They're considered as earnings for the super fund. So imagine that, guys, you own the property that you are operating in, and the rent that you pay goes back to your SMS fund, which is taxed at 15%. Yikes! Jump in the comments, how good is that?